How we doing, everybody? And welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Friday. We're getting closer to the weekend here. We're going to be off on Christmas Day. Austin takes off anyways, so it doesn't really matter what I say. But we're off on Christmas Day. So we're going to cover everything that's going to be happening this weekend through Christmas. Austin's with me today. Austin, how we doing on this fine Friday? Getting closer to the holidays.
I'm getting ready for Christmas, Trage. Presents are wrapped underneath the tree, and I'm ready to open up some myself. So I'm getting excited over here. Ready to eat some cookies, too.
I was just about to say he's more excited about the cookies than he is about the presents, but we aren't going to talk about that.
All right.
All right, here we go. So we got the Bucks to talk about today. We're going to be covering Wisconsin taking on Chicago State tonight. We got a college football weekend full of bowl games coming up here. We got the Dodgers making another big signing. Stupid, just all around stupid. We're going to get into that. Also looking at the rule changes. More rule changes in the MLB. Fantastic. Just what we wanted. And then we're going to get into the Packers. We talked about the Packers all week. You can't get away from them. We got to cover the Packers and Carolina coming up this weekend. And then we got to get into the NFL weekend slate, talking about every game that's coming up this weekend. So right away, I want to jump into the Bucks. They have I guess you could almost call it a doubleheader. It's not really a doubleheader, but you could almost call it a doubleheader here. They are taking on the Knicks coming up this weekend here. Coming up on Saturday, they'll play the Knicks first. Both games will be in New York for those matchups. That game will be on Saturday at 11:30. 11:30 in the morning, the Bucks and the Knicks will square off on Saturday. And then I believe it's at 11 on Christmas Day. They will square off for the second time. So, Austin, what are we looking at for stats right now with this Knicks-Bucks matchup coming up?
Yeah, this is kind of weird scheduling the NBA has been doing here, kind of doubling them up. But when you look at the New York Knicks, not a bad team overall. Jalen Brunson leads them in points per game with 25.3. Julius Randle right behind him, 22.7. R.J. Barrett, 18.5. Emmanuel Quickly with 15 points per game. And then Dante DiVincenzo, he's a former Buck. He averages 9.8 points per game. Josh Hart, 7.8. And then after that, it's, I guess you can say Quentin Grimes. He plays quite a few games there with 6.6 points per game. But then after that, it's a lot of guys who kind of are on the lower ends. Isaiah Hartenstein, I don't know if that's how you say his last name. He's played in every game so far. He averages 5.9. So not a very good showing by their center there, so maybe that's something we can take advantage of. But overall, it looks like Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, you could even add in there, their top four scorers for them there. It says R.J. Barrett's only played 22 games, but he is active for this one, so that's good for the New York Knicks. New York Knicks overall, they're 16-11, third in the Atlantic Division, so kind of around the same as how Orlando was. They average about the same too. They're 114.7 points per game there, and they also average 45.8 rebounds, so very similar to the Milwaukee Bucks. I think this is going to be a very good two games that the Bucks are a very good team over the next 2 days that the Bucks are going to be playing. And it's in, like you said, it's in New York. So, I mean, they have the advantage for them. So it'll be interesting to see how the Bucks play on Christmas Day also.
And yeah, like you're saying there, on home court, the Knicks have actually won 3 in a row now at home coming into this one. So trying to keep that home win streak alive are the Knicks right now. They've gone 12-6 against Eastern Conference teams so far this year, the Knicks have. So a winning record against them, way above 500 there. Ranked 9th in the Eastern Conference, 14.4 fast break points per game right now. R.J. Barrett's at about 3.6. So R.J. Barrett's going to be a big key, slowing down the transition offense by this Knicks team. The Bucks 17-7 against the Eastern Conference so far, and they're actually 6th in the Eastern Conference with 44.4 rebounds per game. So getting on the glass is going to be big in this one. The Bucks have to hold true to what they've been doing so far this year. The Bucks won the last matchup, 146-122. This is a pretty good defensive team from the Knicks, and especially playing at home. the Knicks will have that little bit extra boost there coming up towards Christmas here. The stadium's going to be packed for this one. So the Bucks will be heading into a hostile environment for this kind of matchup here, especially playing on 2 separate days here on the Saturday and then Christmas Day. So it's definitely going to be some big matchup there. Giannis, it seems like he's always key to the game, averaging 30 a game right now. Getting on the glass for Giannis is going to be big. And then Damian Lillard needs to keep playing well for this Bucks team. So far, last 10 games, the Bucks are 8-2 in their last 10. The Knicks coming in 6-4. They're averaging about 122 per game right now. So the Knicks are no slup on the offensive end either. They can ring it up and they can score points in a hurry. They aren't really that far behind the Bucks rebounding wise. 43 rebounds per game right now compared to the Bucks 45. So an impressive stat there. This is, like you said, a pretty even matchup. And having that home court advantage will definitely test the Bucks in this ball game here. Looks like for the injury report, I mean, everybody is active to play for the Bucks except for Jay Crowder. So that's good to see that the Bucks are kind of getting healthy. It would be nice to see Jay Crowder finally get back out there. But, you have to wait your time with him. He's got that groin injury, so you don't know with him when he will fully return to action. Julius Randle, like you were talking there, and Jalen Brunson. Those are the 2 big guys for the Knicks that you're going to have to control. Julius Randle's at 22 a game, like you were saying, and Jalen Brunson 27. Those are your big guys to control in this ball game here. That's Jalen Brunson is over his last 10. He's averaging 27 per game. So he's been hitting it really good as of late. He's a good shooter, can ring it up, and he can get to the rack. So it's going to be a big thing for the Bucks, especially, going off my first note there, controlling the fast break points. I think that's going to be big for the Bucks in this one, keeping the Knicks in check and getting back on defense. I think that's going to be big for the Bucks coming up this weekend. But 2 big games against the Knicks coming up. You have 11:30 start on Saturday, and then you're going to be playing at 11 on Christmas Day. So a couple big matchups there for this Bucks team coming up. It's definitely going to be some exciting games for this Bucks team coming up this weekend here. Can't wait to check them out in between every other sporting event that's going on, because the sporting slate is full this weekend here. Let's just take a look. We're going to get into our Christmas Day schedule for the NBA. And it looks like, got to get over there. It's like technology wants to load for a second, and then all of a sudden it's off on you. So the Bucks will actually be the first team to tip off on Christmas Day at 11, and then the Warriors and Nuggets will square off at 1:30, followed by the Celtics and Lakers at 4. That should be a pretty good matchup there. And then the 76ers and Heat, and then the Mavericks and Suns. So when we're looking at the Warriors and Nuggets, who do we got in that one, Austin? I'm going to take the Warriors. I'm going to take the Warriors to pull off some Christmas Day magic. It seems like Steph and Clay, they turn it on a different level come Christmas Day. I'm going to take the Warriors to upset the Nuggets there.
I figured you were going to go Warriors, but I was thinking about taking the Nuggets on this one, actually. The Joker. I just like it. I just like the nickname. I like the guy. He doesn't care about basketball. When you I don't know if you ever seen any of his interviews, or like after they won the finals, he's like, I just want to go back and ride horses. I'm like,
he's all about horses. He's a big
guy. That's a guy I can vote for MVP right there.
I know, when they said that they had the parade coming up, and he's like, do I have to be there? Like, in a legit question too. It's like most guys are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get excited, I'm gonna go drink and be in this parade and everything in between. He's like, I don't want to. We can not have this, and I'll be okay with it. That's fine.
You can't hate on the guy. You can't hate on the guy.
No, he's an interesting character. He definitely is an interesting character, that's for sure. And then next up, we have, it used to be a rivalry. I don't believe it is anymore. They try to push it off as a rivalry, but it's not. The Celtics and Lakers coming up there from Los Angeles, the Crypto.com Arena. That is quite the arena name right there. I'm going to take the Celtics to win that one on the road.
Yeah, this is a very good matchup here. I might go with the Lakers on this one, though. They got Bron, they got AD. Why not? A little Christmas magic, like you were saying with the Warriors.
I kind of figured you would have taken the Warriors in that first matchup if I took the Nuggets. You would have taken the Celtics if I took the Lakers. You just take the opposite. So in this next one, we have the 76ers and Heat coming up from Miami. I think the Heat win that one at home against the 76ers.
I think you know where I'm going with this one. I like the 76ers because of Joel Embiid. That's all I can say. That's all I really know about the 76ers. They have Joel Embiid. And that's all I really need.
Tyrese Maxey. Maxey's pretty good.
They have Tyrese Maxey, but they got Joel Embiid.
Next up, we have the Mavericks and Suns coming up from Phoenix, Arizona, the Footprint Center. They have some interesting arena names there, the Footprint Center. That is definitely an interesting one. I'm going to take Luka Doncic and the Mavericks to go into Phoenix and win that one.
This one might be the one that we both agree on right here. I was thinking before you even were talking, I was thinking Mavericks. I was going with Mavericks no matter what you were going with. So I'm going to keep my pick there. I'm going with the Mavericks as well.
There we go. At least we can decide. We can agree on one. And hey, with Christmas, we're getting closer and closer. Christmas is almost upon us, and you might still have some things you got to cross off that Christmas list here. Check out our friends down there at Game Day Supply in Onalaska. If you're in the Onalaska area and you need to pick up that last minute thing for your hockey fan, for your baseball player in your family, softball player in your family, they have all the things you need at Game Day Supply. They do custom batting gloves, custom gloves for softball and baseball. They have bats galore, DeMarini, Louisville Slugger, Marucci. They have it all at Game Day Supply. They do skate sharpening down there and custom jerseys. They do custom jerseys, custom orders for you. So it's an impressive work that they do down there at Game Day Supply in Onalaska, or check them out online at Game Day Supply, or check them out at their website at GameDaySupply.net. They are available all over, and they will find you what you need this holiday season. So with that, I want to move on here. We're going to jump into the Badgers. Badgers got a big game coming up tonight, taking on Chicago State. They've been off for a little bit, Wisconsin has. Haven't played a game, feels like in forever. They will be taking on Chicago State tonight. Chicago State coming off, they just took a big win against Northwestern as of late. I don't know Chicago State's schedule other than that. I know I watched them play against Northwestern, a pretty big win for Chicago State. So, Austin, you got the stats up for that one?
Yeah, I got stats and their schedule too. After Northwestern, they beat Valparaiso by 63-62, so they kind of barely beat them there. And then University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, quite the name there. And then Bethune-Cookman. So now they're playing the Badgers at Wisconsin here. And just take a look at their stats a little bit. The Chicago State Cougars, they're 7-9, and they're led by Wesley Cardet Jr., 18.9 points per game. And then also they are led by I don't want to butcher these names, but I might be butchering these names. Jashawn Corbett, who's averaging 13 points per game. Brent Davis, 9.5 points per game. Gene Charles, 6.9 points per game. And then it kind of withers out from there. But, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot on this Chicago State team. It's not a familiar team that the Badgers have played. They average 65.7 points per game and 31.8 rebounds. That could be a spot that the Badgers can maybe exploit a little bit there. Looking at their roster, they don't necessarily have a technical center. It's mainly forwards and like power forwards and guards and small forwards and power forwards. So they don't really have it. They don't have a center listed for their team there. So it'll be interesting to see how they're able to go up against this very large Wisconsin offense, defense with man, we haven't even talked about the Wisconsin Badgers in a while. I'm forgetting on names. Stephen Crowell and Tyler Wall there, some big guys. So, I mean, they did beat Northwestern. You can't take that away from them. Northwestern was ranked at the time, and this is definitely not a pushover game where you can just expect to go in this one and win it. The Badgers are projected to win. They have like a 98.3% chance to win this one. So, I mean, it's high that they win. It's likely that they win, but the Chicago State Cougars team did beat Northwestern, so definitely not one to take lightly.
Yeah, and like you were saying there, you don't know much about the Chicago State team, but they did come off that win against Northwestern. So this is an upset-minded Chicago State team coming into the Kohl's Center to take on the Badgers. So that's the big thing Wisconsin has to look out for in this game. Like you were talking there, you got to continue to feed the post. Looking at Chicago State, they're likely to not have a player bigger than 6'7" in their rotation. That's Tyler Wall's size. So you have a matchup like that with Stephen Crowell, you got to feed the big man. You have to let him go to work in the post, and everything else will work its way out. Don't try to win this one on the perimeter. The big thing that Northwestern faltered with in that ball game is that they tried to win it on the perimeter, and they didn't do well getting it into the post. And when they didn't do well scoring in the post. And that's going to be a big thing for Wisconsin in this one, is to have success in the post game. Though, you look at Wisconsin, there was 2 games where they struggled in the post. Providence and Arizona. Both games, Badgers lost handily by both teams. So you look at this Wisconsin team and you say, okay, we get it into the post, we play well. That's how we got to work this thing. So even going up against a not so talented, but they have talent. Chicago State's got talent. Don't get me wrong. They have they have twins on that team, are 5-star recruits for that Chicago State team. So they have talent on this ball club. And the big thing for Wisconsin is going to be able to get the ball into the post, slow the game down, and looking at this one, control the tempo. You have to control the tempo and pace of play. Looking at Chicago State, they want the game to be ugly. We remember, look at Wisconsin playing Iowa in football, right? The whole week. What did they say? Iowa wants to win this game ugly. They don't want this to be a good game. They want it to look like crap on the stat sheet. They want it to look like crap when you watch the game. It looked like crap. And Wisconsin in that game played right in Iowa's hand. This one, looking at the Chicago State team, they want to play ugly and they want to play fast. They want to get out and move. They want to make you make mistakes. And that's the big thing that Wisconsin has to look out for in this one. They average about 14 turnovers a game. Wisconsin can turn the Chicago State team over. Looking at, like I said, a couple weeks ago, they actually they went to Evanston, and that's tough, going to Northwestern. And they won at Northwestern 75-73. You're talking about a Northwestern team that upended Purdue. Gave Purdue their one loss on the season. So this Northwestern team's nothing to shake your head at, and Chicago State was able to upend them. So that's the thing that Wisconsin has to watch out for, is this is an upset-minded Chicago State team coming into the Kohl Center tonight.
Yeah, in that game, like you said, Wesley Cardette Jr. scored 30 points for Chicago State Cougars. I think he's going to be the difference maker in this game, be able to contain him and slow him down, not let him get as many shots up that he might want. Seems like he's the one that kind of carried them. And then Corbett also had 17 points per game. But not points per game, but points against Northwestern. But besides that, a lot of points in single digits. They only had 2 guys that played off the bench for them also. So not a whole lot going for the Chicago State Cougars. It was kind of crazy that they were able to beat Northwestern. And then just looking at I did look up the roster. The Bewley twins are on the roster, but I don't think they've played at all. They don't have any stats showing on ESPN at least. So I don't know what their situation is, if anything's going on, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to be playing against the Badgers tonight.
Interesting to see, because you would imagine with the Chicago State team with that kind of talent coming in, you would see the 2 5-star recruits. They'd be the first guys in the starting rotation for them. So
yeah,
definitely interesting. But they got talent. I mean, if those 2 aren't playing, there's talent on that team. That Corbett, he's got some talent there for Chicago State. So they definitely have scores on this team. Wisconsin, like we were talking, they have to be able to control that tempo that they want to play. When they play fast, Wisconsin has turnovers. They turn the ball over. They have poor stretches on offense during the game, and I think Wisconsin needs to avoid that. Looking at this Jacksonville State game that Wisconsin played, they avoided a slow start. I thought that was the big thing for Wisconsin in that one, avoiding the slow start. You can't come out cold against a team like Chicago State. But the big thing is to start inside. Don't start it out. I mean, there's lots of games that start out with a 3, but that's not Wisconsin's game. Start out by getting the ball into Steven Crowell in the post and then work from there. I think that's going to be the big thing, is controlling the paint for the Badgers in this one. You cannot get caught sleeping. That's going to be the big thing for the Badgers in this one, is if the Badgers control the tempo, if they control the paint, there will be no drama in this game. Wisconsin will win this one handily. That's just plain and simple. All around, they are the better basketball team. If Wisconsin plays sloppy, if they try to play fast, if they try to push the tempo, if they try to do that stupid thing that we tell them every week not to do, and that is get out of what they are good at, Wisconsin will have drama in this game, and Chicago State will keep it close. That's what Northwestern did. You don't expect that from Northwestern. They're usually generally a pretty sound team, especially with Boo Buie still there, pretty good point guard. They're pretty a sound team, and going against that is what Northwestern did, and that's how they faltered against the Chicago State team. So you've been off for a while. you're going to have some rust coming out, but you have to play your game. I think that's going to be the big thing for the Badgers leading up into this one. No big man. No big man for Chicago State. So that's going to be the big emphasis in this one. Wisconsin needs to get the ball into the post in this one, and I think everything else will work its way out in this ball game here for Wisconsin.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how – I mean, this could be a game that some of our bench players get in. You never know, but see how they play as well. See how Max Klesmit's able to play. I'm always interested in see how Max Klesmit plays. He's always you never know what you're going to get out of him. You could get 3 points, or you could somehow get 20 points like you did that one time. You never know what he's going to get out of him. Maybe this is the time where guard puts John Blackwell in the starting lineup. You never know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But like you said, coming off of a break, you just got to be consistent, or try to be consistent. Do what works. Do what's been working for you. And don't try to force anything unnecessary.
That's going to be the big key, is not forcing the issue, just trying to play your game, start to finish, and the game will it'll hand itself to you, basically. Yeah, I'd love to see what Connor Essegian's going to give in this game. He got pulled early last game out because of his poor defense when he first got in there. I'd love to see Connor Essegian come out and kind of force the issue and play better defense. I don't want to see him shoot. I don't want to see Connor Essegian get – I really do. I want to see him get into a rhythm, but the first thing I want to see from Connor Essegian is some solid defense. I think that's what's keeping him out of the lineup right now. That's what's keeping him off, getting minimum minutes off the bench. And I think that's big for the Badgers, is if he finds himself defensively at least a little bit, I think Greg Gard will let him go. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of success for the Badger team, is getting a guy like Connor Essegian going at some point here. So with that, though, Wisconsin coming up tonight from the Kohl Center. I believe that's a 7 o'clock tip there from the Kohl Center. It's going to be on BTN Network, so the Badgers playing on the Big Ten Network tonight in that one. So it should be a good matchup there from the Kohl Center. But with that, I just want to talk about some of the weekend games we have coming up here. It looks like Marquette's going to be in action tonight, taking on Georgetown on FS1. That'll be a 6 o'clock tip there from the Pfizer. Other than that, there isn't a lot of big games. Illinois taking on Missouri. We have Kansas in action against Yale. That should not be much of a matchup there. Clemson taking on Queens University. Not much to talk about there. Looking into Saturday, see if there's any big matchups coming up here on Saturday. Arizona taking on Florida Atlantic. Number 4 Arizona taking on number 14 Florida Atlantic on Fox on Saturday. That should be a pretty good matchup there. But other than that, that is about it for the weekend slate of college basketball. Kind of getting into that winter break here for the colleges. So not much going on there. There will be the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. That'll be coming up on Sunday. That'll be on Christmas Eve. I believe it leads into Christmas Day. I believe they play through that. So should be some pretty good matchups there coming up for college basketball this weekend. Hopefully see some upsets. That's what always makes the Christmas weekend better, is when we see some upsets. But with that, I want to talk about Century 21, home team Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at Home Team Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. But with that, I want to jump over to Austin. Austin's got our Christmas fact of the day.
Yeah, so usually when I say the fact of the day, it's usually a sport fact, and it's relative to what happened on this day. But since Christmas is coming up, I decided to flip the script a little bit. Here's a little Christmas fact. Did you know that Santa Claus has his own Canadian postal code? It's true. Those letters to Santa don't always go unanswered. In Canada, the postal code is H0H0H0. So ho, ho, ho is designated for Santa at the North Pole. Every year, Canadian children can send their letters to this address to receive a personalized reply from Santa through Canadian Post Santa letter writing program. So there is actually a place that you can send your letters to Santa in the North Pole.
I gotta say, I did not expect that fact of the day. That was quite interesting, and we found out if you are Canadian, we found out where you gotta send your letters.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's some pretty good Christmas facts on this website. I mean, there's another one that says in Japan it's tradition for people to enjoy a Kentucky Fried Chicken Christmas. So
that's a big thing. I saw that. That's a big thing. KFC chicken. It started with the Colonel. KFC chicken is the big thing in Japan.
And then Jingle Bells was originally a Thanksgiving song. Didn't know that, but now you do. So even a little bit more Christmas fact of the days. But I just think that this website's kind of cool, actually.
Jingle Bells does not make sense as a Thanksgiving song, but I'm with you. It doesn't make sense, but I'm with you. Unless if it was unless if they switched the lyrics up. If they switched the lyrics up for Christmas, then it makes sense. But other than that, it just seems weird.
Yeah. It does kind of seem weird. I don't know. It was performed. It was performed at a church for a Thanksgiving concert, but now over the years it became more closely associated with Christmas and is now one of the most popular holiday songs that we know and all love. So, I guess the more you know.
Interesting fact of the day right there. But with that, I got to jump over. We got to get out of that for a second. We got to talk about the bowl games coming up here tomorrow. We have a full slate. Troy taking on Duke. I'm going to take Duke to win that one against Troy.
I'm gonna go Troy. I think this could be. I don't know if this is an upset or not, but Troy beat Appalachian State. Appalachian State beat James Madison. James Madison I liked. So I mean, if A equals B and B equals C, then I'm taking Troy over the Duke Blue Devils.
If A equals B and B equals C, then C equals E. I'm with you.
Yep.
I got it.
That's that Greenwood math right there.
Next up, we have Arkansas State taking on Northern Illinois coming up at 11 o'clock. That is the Crampton Bowl coming up from Montgomery, Alabama. We're going to take Arkansas State. I'm going to take Arkansas State to win that one.
I'm going to go Northern Illinois. Because why not?
Northern Illinois. Here's the big one for Austin. Austin's big game of the day coming up. The Amon G. Carter Stadium. That's all it's called. Oh, there it is. The Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. There it is. That's what it's called. We have that coming up here. James Madison taking on Air Force in that one. I'm going to go against Austin. Just because E equals Z, I'm going to take Air Force to pull off the upset in that one.
You know, I can respect that. You know, pulling for the troops over there. But not against my James Madison Dukes. I cannot root against them. I haven't all year, and I will not today. Give me the Dukes. Hey, and I play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Or not on their shoulder, on their shoulder. Because they weren't even supposed to make a bowl game, and yet here they are. You know, the people said they couldn't, and now they're here. And now they're going to make a statement.
This is true. Next up, we have the famous Idaho Potato Bowl coming up there. Georgia State taking on Utah State. I think Utah is closer to Idaho, so I'm going to take Utah State to win that one.
Yeah, this could be a definite travel disparity here between Georgia State and Utah State. But, I mean, Georgia State played good against the Badgers, and the Badgers are playing against LSU. So I'm going to go Georgia State over Utah State.
None of those facts equaled each other. That was not an A equals B, B equals C statement. The Badgers are the Badgers. It doesn't count.
Trust me, it works out. And when we come back and Georgia State wins this game, I'm going to say, I told you so.
He'll tell me he told me so. Next up, we have South Alabama taking on Eastern Michigan in the 68 Ventures Bowl. I'm going to take Eastern Michigan to win that one against South Alabama.
Some of these teams, I just have no idea what they have. So I'm going to go South Alabama because it's in Alabama. You know, that just... I feel like that's good enough.
It's close enough to Nick Saban to have him spread some luck onto him. I'll give you that.
Oh, yeah, just a little Saban dust, you know?
A little Saban dust. I'll give you it. Next up, we have Utah taking on Northwestern. That'll be in the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. That'll be coming up at 6:30. Why did the Badgers, when they played in Las Vegas, end up with like a 9 o'clock start? And now this game starts at 6:30. That's just terrible. What the heck is that? I'm going to
Oh,
take.
it's bad luck.
I'm going to stick with the Big Ten. I'm going to stick with Northwestern. Northwestern's never done anything to wrong me. I'm going to take Northwestern.
Trade, you know that's a lie. You know you're lying to yourself when you pick Northwestern. You got to go Utah. Northwestern is doo-doo. Northwestern's so bad. Actually, didn't they beat the Badgers?
No. Yes.
Well, it was close. It was close. But I know close. Utah was in the Pac-12. Pac-12 better than anyone. Too bad it's not a conference anymore. This is last year. But Utah is better than Northwestern. I got to go Utah.
The Pac-12 was not better than the SEC or the Big Ten.
I don't know.
The top half of the Big Ten would beat the top half of the Pac. The top half of the SEC would beat the top half of the Pac.
Well, it's too bad.
Defense in the Pac-12.
Well, I guess you do need defense. Okay, when you look at this, though, the top half of the Big Ten is all what? The Big Ten East. So, doesn't even matter.
So we put the Big Ten East up against the Pac-12, they win.
Well, Northwestern isn't part of neither, so it doesn't matter. They're not beating Utah.
I'll give you that. I just got to stick with the Big Ten in that one because I don't like the dismantled Pac-12. Next up, we have Coastal Carolina coming up against San Jose State. That'll be in the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl coming up from Honolulu. I'm going to take Coastal Carolina, the Gamecocks.
Give me the Chanticleers. Did you know that there was their mascot, the Chanticleer? Don't ask me what it is. I don't know. I don't know what. I think it's a bird.
It's a chicken.
Yeah.
I think it's a chicken.
I think
Gamecocks. I'm sorry. I was wrong.
You were thinking of Gamecock?
I was thinking it was a chicken. It is a chicken. It is a form of a chicken. I was thinking Gamecocks because of the form of the chicken, but it's
a
not
fancy
a
chicken.
It's a fancy chicken. One of those ones
you
eat for supper.
Yeah. Oh, this is the type of chicken you eat on Thanksgiving, on Christmas right here.
On Christmas, this is
you eat a Chanticleer for Christmas.
The high price chicken. That's what
high quality Chanticleer.
Now we got it. Okay, I need you to do me something solid while I talk about the next thing we got to talk about. I need you to look up what a Chanticleer is.
I can do that.
I need to know what a Chanticleer is. But we have interesting news coming out of college football. We've been kind of avoiding it. Florida State is talking about a move from the ACC. Just a thing I wanted to jump into real quick. Got snubbed from the college football playoff because of the lack of good teams in the ACC. So now it looks like Florida State is trying to jump ship and get out of there as quickly as possible to try to make their try to make themselves seem more credible. It is a move that I thought Florida State should do just because, you have down years from Clemson. If Clemson didn't have a down year, I think you throw in a team like Florida State. It just happened that Florida State lost their starting quarterback, and then you go from that to playing in the ACC. It was a struggle for Florida State at the end of the year to really make a case for themselves, except for the undefeated record. You had the undefeated record, but you got to look at the end of the day, who led to most of them wins. That was Jordan Travis on that team there, on that offense. The offense looked terrible without him. So Florida State looking to jump from the ACC.
Yeah, it's probably a good move for them. Like you were saying, down year for the ACC. Clemson usually the top team, and this year Clemson fought their way back into the top 25, but overall, like when Florida State played them, I don't think they were ranked, or maybe they were kind of ranked, but they weren't doing too hot. And so Florida State, the quarterback gets hurt. What, Dredge?
So apparently, breaking news. I got to interrupt Austin because breaking news. It's on this topic. On this topic. Florida State is going to sue the ACC over grant of rights, $130 million withdrawal fee to get out of the ACC. So Florida State is really pushing to get out of the ACC now. They're going to sue the ACC board for that right to leave So interesting developing news there that now they are suing the ACC for their right to get out. That is definitely an interesting thing. All told, the university estimates the total exit fee, including the forfeiture of television revenue, would be $572 million for them to leave the ACC. So, wowza. We talked about this at the right time. That's all I got to say because of the breaking news that just came across the interweb. So definitely interesting news right there. But I'll let you go with what you were saying there. But that just came across.
All I heard was a lot of big numbers coming from your end. And it'd be nice if I could get a share of that. But anyway, like I was saying, it's unfortunate that Jordan Travis obviously got hurt right at the end there when they needed him. And I think the playoff committee even came out and said that was a factor in them not making the playoffs. So, I mean, if they have Jordan Travis, they probably still make the playoffs. But either way, getting out of the ACC, I mean, it probably helps Florida State a lot, especially like the revenue with contracts on TVs. I mean, what is ACC network? No one be watching ACC network, first off. And second off, I'm pretty sure some of their games were played on Bally Sports, which you still have to pay for. So overall, how much are you really making when you're playing the ACC? Not a whole lot, considering you could go to the Big Ten and be playing on Fox, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot more money. You go. I'm guessing they would go to the SEC. It's the closest. Florida's already in there. Georgia's right there. So like that's kind of the closest. I'm guessing that was probably. It doesn't make sense for them to go to the Big Ten. But then again, I mean, Stanford and California are going to the ACC. So I don't even know anymore what's going on.
And Oregon and Washington are all jumping into the Big Ten. So none of the conferences make sense. So wherever Florida State decides to go, they can go.
All I know is this could put a big strain on student athletes. Football is one thing, but when you travel for a weekend, you go somewhere, but I don't think a lot of decisions are being made off of football. They're not being made off of possibly a baseball or especially basketball. Because you're traveling, you're playing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, Mondays maybe. So, I mean, say Oregon has to go play Rutgers. I mean, first off, that's got to be, I don't even know how long of a flight that is, probably 6 hours maybe. Maybe even it's close. And then you're there, and then you got to play a game, get on a plane, hop back, and go to class. These alignments are putting a real strain. I feel like maybe not yet, but I feel like they're going to put a real strain on maybe not the football athletes, but possibly the other college athletes that universities aren't really thinking about. So that's just something to think. That's just something to think about as the stuff is happening. Yeah.
Yep, and like you're saying there, with like you look at like lacrosse or soccer. Those games are 4:00 in the afternoon kind of starts. So now you're leaving even earlier in the day to make your way over there to play these ball games now. And then you look at TV times. I mean, Wisconsin goes out to, say, USC for a basketball game, and it's at night. That's a 9:00 tip. That's a 9:00 tip for that one. So how many Badger fans are going to – I mean, I would stay up and watch it, but how many Badger fans are going to be staying up 9:00 at night to watch Wisconsin play against USC out there on the West Coast? So – time-wise doesn't match up either. At least when you had the East Coast, you just had Eastern time. It was like an hour ahead. Now you're jumping 2 hours. You're heading out to the West right now. You look at like Brewer games out there. Usual 7:00 starts here. That's a 9:00 start out in Los Angeles. Play the Dodgers. So, I mean, it's just interesting what is going on, and I don't think it's going to work. I think they're going to end up going to 2 super conferences. I think it's going to turn out like the NFL kind of deal where they're going to have 2 massive conferences where everybody just plays random teams, and then end of the year they have a playoff. That's what I think is going to end up happening at some point. I don't think we're there yet, but I think, the way that it's going, they're making super conferences right now. The Power Five's kind of out the door because of teams jumping to the SEC and the Big Ten now. The ACC is no longer, if this year didn't really tell you, they aren't a Power 5 school. They're classified as a Power 5 conference, but they're not. In football, if you look in basketball, they are. If you look at basketball, the ACC is up there. If you look in baseball or softball, the ACC is up there. If you look at football, they're not. They're not towards the top. They have subpar football teams in the ACC, and that's what kills them. That's what killed them this year with Florida State. The big thing with Florida State, and I saw a lot of people, they said, well, what about Ohio State? They lost their starting quarterback, and then Cardell Jones started against Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, and they won that game, and then they made it into college football playoffs. So why didn't they get penalized for having a backup quarterback? I believe Cardell Jones was a third string. The difference was when you looked at Ohio State against Wisconsin, they won 59-0 with the third string quarterback against Wisconsin. Florida State struggled to beat Louisville with their backup quarterback, with their third string quarterback. There's your difference. There's your difference between the two teams right there. Ohio State dismantled a really good Wisconsin team that year. And then you look at the difference of Louisville's a good team, but they weren't, I don't think they were as good as what Wisconsin was that year. And Ohio State was still able to shut out the Badgers 59-0 without their starting quarterback. That's what I think the big kicker is for me, is that the difference of those two styles of play. Because the committee watches the bowl, they watch the Big Ten championship, they watch the championship games, they saw the difference there, and I think that really led into that decision for Florida State to be out of the college football playoff.
Yeah, and we also kind of how you were talking about the two different, kind of like the NFL, the two different conferences or whatever. I'm pretty sure Chip Kelly was kind of talking about that after his game against I don't remember. It was after their bowl game. Chip Kelly, the head coach of UCLA, and he was kind of talking about the same thing, that at some point, all these Power 5 schools are end up just going to be able to create one big conference where they're able to pick and choose. Basically, they're all independents. So they pick and choose who they play, and then you're going to begin the good teams playing against the good teams all the time. And, when you look at it that way, it makes sense. You look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame kind of does that right now. When you look at Notre Dame, I'm kind of shocked that they haven't joined the ACC in football, because they're in the ACC for everything else. But it comes with the media rights. It comes with being able to pick and choose who you want to play, and they're able to play USC, Michigan State. Michigan State was down, but they used to be good, and all these other teams that Ohio State, another team that they were able to play. They're able to pick and choose who they want to play. They're not restricted by any conference or anything. And there's your games right there that, you beat Ohio State, you beat USC, you beat whoever else you played. You're right in the running for college football playoff. And I think that's what's helped Notre Dame in past years be able to get into that conversation. When you're playing in a conference, now this obviously Penn or Ohio State, they're going to play like Maryland a couple times. They're going to play who else? Indiana. But then they're also getting very good quality teams like that. When you're Florida State, who's the best team that they played? Clemson and maybe Duke and maybe Miami. I don't know. I guess they did beat LSU, but they played one non-conference good game. I don't want to hate on Florida State because they still went undefeated, which is miraculous. But it does come down to who you end up playing and what players you have at that moment. And that's just Florida State just didn't have that luck with them on the day that they got picked, or that they didn't get picked for the playoffs.
And if you want to prove it, go beat Georgia. You beat Georgia in your bowl game, you prove it. You prove everybody wrong who has said that you were not good without Jordan Travis. You want to prove it in that game. Don't do this stupid thing where I saw they should have players sit out. Don't do this stupid thing where I saw that they shouldn't even play in the game. Show up to that game, beat Georgia, and then you will prove everybody wrong. But right now, until you beat Georgia, who was, before they lost to Alabama, going to be the number one team in the college football playoff. That's just hands down. They were the best team in college football. If you can beat Georgia, you prove everybody wrong. That's just plain and simple how it's going to be. Because Georgia's going to have almost everybody out there. Their starting quarterback's going to be out there. So Georgia's going to be basically at full power. So you got to go beat Georgia, and then you can prove everybody wrong. But with that, let's move on here. I want to talk about Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see them and the awesome crew down there at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. But with that, I want to move on here just briefly. We're going to touch into it next week. But I want to talk about the Dodgers sign. I don't even know how to say his name. We're going to call him Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Has signed a 12-year, $325 million contract to join the Dodgers, to join Shohei Ohtani out there with the Dodgers. So, wowza. Another pitcher going to the Dodgers, big money, one of the biggest free agents out there. Now the dominoes will start to fall the rest of the way around the MLB. But with that, I want to jump into the Packers. We're going to get into the MLB a little bit more next week. Austin's got something to tell me. Austin's got something to say.
Trage, I found out what a Chanticleer is.
There we go. That's what we've been waiting for. It was worth the wait. What do we got?
Yep. A Chanticleer is a name given to a rooster, especially in fairy tales. So basically a chicken. We were about right. A fancy chicken because of fairy tale.
A fancy chicken. Interesting. That is interesting. A fancy chicken in fairy tales. So a fairy tale ending to this season for Coastal Carolina when they win that game.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I got there. But with that, we got what a Chanticleer means now. That was what we needed today. We're going to move on here. We got the Packers coming up here on Christmas Eve at noon. Coming up on Christmas Eve, taking on the Carolina Panthers. Packers coming to this one after 2 depressing losses there. 6-8 on the season right now. 2-5 on the road so far this season. So we see where the problem is. The Packers going on the road. They will be taking on Carolina. Coming into this one 2-12. 2-4 at home. So taking on Carolina at home, that's about the only place they're going to win. Packers coming into this one, they are favored, but are they really favored? We're going to get into that. So right away, Austin, what do we got for stats in this one coming up?
Looking at the stats for the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young is their quarterback. This is the guy that was taken besides C.J. Stroud, who's playing really good. Bryce Young out of Alabama, he's a rookie. He's completed 262 passes on 441 attempts for 2,359 yards and 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and he's been sacked 51 times right there. So 51 times, I mean, when we were talking about the Giants, they were sacked probably, I mean, I don't think it was 50. I don't think it was in the – I can't remember what it was, but they gave up a lot of sacks. And we were talking about how our defensive line needs to get pressure on Tommy DeVito. Well, hopefully they can get pressure on Bryce Young because – if we can't get pressure on him, then we're really questioning what Joe Barry's doing over there. But enough of Joe Barry. From the Russian attack standpoint, they got Chuba Hubbard. I don't know, Chuba? Doesn't matter. He has 731 yards on 188 carries and 4 touchdowns for them. And then Miles Sanders, who is active for them. He's missed 1 game. He has 401 yards on 121 carries and 1 touchdown there. Bryce Young has a little bit of rushing yards with 210 on 32 carries, but no touchdowns. So it's basically Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders for them. And then receiving-wise, they got Adam Thielen. We know a little bit about Adam Thielen. I mean, he was on the Minnesota Vikings for forever there. He has 170 yards receiving on 89 receptions, 4 touchdowns. And then Jonathan Mingo has 409 yards, 40 receptions, and no touchdowns. DJ Chark, though, has 3 touchdowns, and Hayden Hurst has 1 touchdown. So kind of a 3-headed monster here with Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo, and DJ Chark, but don't count out Hayden Hurst. Also, Chuba Hubbard is 4th in yards. So we saw with the the Buccaneers, with their running back, they were able to get out there with their running back, and they were able to throw the ball to him a lot, and it kind of hurt the Packers. So hopefully we limit that a little bit with Chuba Hubbard and don't let him get the ball in space with the passing yards there. And then just to take a look at their team stats, I just want to see how much I don't know if I can find it here. Points per game. So for them, they average 14.7, and their opponents average 24.9 points per game. So, I mean, we put up 20 points per game last week. Hopefully, we can put up a little bit more against Carolina. This is where we find out how good Joe Barry is, honestly. How we play against the bad teams. With a team that only scores 14.7 points per game, you got to be able to at least hold them to 14 points per game. If not 21. If they get over 21 points, then we're questioning what Joe Barry's doing on the defensive end. And if we aren't able to get pressure on this O-line, then we're questioning what Joe Barry's doing on the defensive end.
Yeah, and looking at this one, like you were talking there, it's going to be a big game for Joel Barry. It's got to be a bounce back game for the Packers in this one. They lead the series record 10-6 right now. Their last meeting was actually in 2020, and the Packers won that one in Green Bay. But looking at it, the Carolina Panthers have won 3 of the last 4 meetings at home against the Packers. So Packers haven't had very good luck heading out there to Carolina to play in those games. Looking at it right now, like you were talking there, the Panthers defense, they're ranked third. Their pass defense is ranked third in the league in pass defense. So an impressive pass defense there from the Panthers. Their rush defense is ranked 20th, and their scoring defense is ranked 29th. Their offense all around, they're terrible, 30th overall right now. Packers sitting in the middle on both. The big ones to watch in this game are going to be Dontavian Wicks. I think he came off a big game against Tampa Bay. I think we got to see how he plays in this ball game against the Carolina Panthers. I don't know. Looking at the injury report, we'll jump into the injury report quick before I move on. Lots of guys on the injury report. I don't know if Devondre Campbell's going to play. I don't. He did not practice Wednesday or Thursday leading up into today, so I don't know if he will play. A.J. Dillon, he's limited at practice the past couple days here with that thumb. And then Aaron Jones is also limited, along with Emmanuel Wilson. Emmanuel Wilson making his way back. He has been limited. But Jayden Reed did not practice either Wednesday or Thursday as of this week. So I don't know if we're going to see Jayden Reed out there on Sunday, along with Christian Watson still out with a hamstring injury. Quay Walker was limited. It looks like besides that, Luke Musgrave is back on the injury report at least, and he did not practice there. He still got the lacerated kidney, so he's still working his way back from that. I heard he is making progress, though, so that is good to see. Other than that, Jair was limited once again. I don't know why we keep talking about him because he's limited every week and doesn't play. And then Engelbar was also limited at practice along with Jonathan Owens. Darnell Savage did not practice either day this week so far. So definitely some interesting stuff going on the injury report. Dontavian Wicks was limited at practice with an ankle injury right now. So some interesting stuff across the board there injury-wise for this one coming up. Looking at some of the players to watch for the Panthers, you know it's rough when you don't really have anybody to watch but your kicker. Last week, Eddie Pinheiro did win the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. He did have that walk-off field goal against the Falcons in that one, and was 3 for 3 on his field goal attempts. They won that 9-7. So he is about all they had there. Another key matchup is going to be Jordan Love against the pass rush for this Carolina Panthers team. Like I was talking there, their defense, their pass defense is pretty good. So they've been getting better. They've been getting better as the season has gone on. They've dealt with injuries on that defense. So Jordan Love going up against this pretty good Panthers pass defense is going to be a key in this one. Looking at it right now, the Packers surprisingly haven't had a rusher or a receiver catch for over 100 yards this season. That's crazy. Dontavian Wicks was, I'm guessing, one of the closest ones there. He had 97 or so yards last week against the Buccaneers, so Dontavian Wicks was the closest there. Another key for the Packers in this one, getting to the quarterback. They got to get to Bryce Young in this ball game. You cannot let Bryce Young get comfortable. You are the better team. You cannot let Bryce Young get comfortable in this game because otherwise we're going to watch drama. We're going to watch a game come down to the finish again. This game should be in hand early. This is a struggling Carolina team this year. This is a struggling offense for Carolina. If this defense can't look good against Carolina, something needs to change. And that's just plain and simple. If you can't look good, there is not much to talk about with Carolina. I mean, we go through weeks of preview and we can talk about a team all day long, talk about playmakers, talk about everything else in between, talk about their quarterback and how good he is. This Carolina team, there's nothing to really talk about. I mean, you look at him, Bryce Young last week, he led a game-winning 17-play, 90-yard drive. That took about 7:35 off the clock to beat the Falcons. But that's about it. That's about all Bryce Young's done this year. I mean, so you go into this game here, and you got to be able to control this Carolina offense. If you can't, you got to see some firings the next week. That's just how it is. Looking at Chuba Hubbard, he has run for at least 87 yards in 3 straight games. So the Packers' run defense is going to have to be good. Because if Chuba Hubbard gets over 100, then it's going to add to some problems for this Green Bay team. Leading into this one, I really do expect a big game from Aaron Jones just because the run defense for Carolina isn't as good as what the pass defense is. So I think in this one, we're going to have to see a lot of the rushing attack for Green Bay is going to have to be good. They're going to have to control the trenches on both sides of the ball here. The defensive line is going to have to make a stand in this one. We don't know who's going to be on the defense, if Devondre Campbell's playing, if Jair's going to play. We never know. So it's going to be huge for this Packers team to kind of control that run game. They're coming to this one with a rush defense ranked 30th in the league. So this is the exact opposites. When you look at these two teams, Carolina's defense, pretty good. I mean, they have a pretty good defense. Their offense, terrible. The Packers' offense, subpar, and their defense, not so good. Their rush defense is ranked 30th. Their pass defense somehow still ranked 12th in the league, and their scoring defense is tied for 17th. So they have a pretty good, I mean, this is a pretty even matchup at the end of the day, but I think the Packers, their defense is going to be key in this one against Carolina.
And yeah, when you look at the playoff, if anyone's still looking at the playoff picture at this point, I mean, we got to win this game. We got to win Minnesota. And we got to beat Chicago. And when I was watching the game last night and they put up the playoff picture, Green Bay wasn't even on it. So if you still have hopes and dreams for the playoffs, they might be dwindling away. But as of now, I mean, we're still technically would be 11 seed or 12 seed or something. And crazy stuff has happened for the Packers to squeeze in there. Teams can drop games no matter, like, just as quick as that people thought they were going to be able to win them. So there's still a chance for the Packers. Still need to be focused. Still need to win this game if they even want a chance to sneak in there at a 7 seed. But got to take it one game at a time, and it starts with the Carolina Panthers. And can't take it light. Can't take this game light.
No, and they definitely need some help. Like you're saying there, they're going to need some help to squeak into the playoffs here. But with that, let's jump over. We got to get out of the Packers here. We're going to talk about the NFL weekend slate. So coming up tomorrow, we have the Bengals taking on the Steelers. I'm going to take the Bengals to win that one. I like what Browning's doing right now with the Bengals. So I'm going to take the Bengals to win that one.
I like the Bengals too. They play really good against Minnesota as a team collectively. So I like the Bengals on this one.
Next, we're coming up at 7 o'clock on Peacock. We have the Bills taking on the Chargers. I'm going to take the Bills to win that one at SoFi. The Chargers are a mess.
Yeah, I think anyone with a brain would take the Bills, especially the Bills beat the Cowboys, and the Chargers got 63 or 62 put up on them last week by the Raiders. So they looked like they were in shambles. You got to go with the Bills on this one.
Definitely got to go with the Bills. Next up, coming up on Christmas Eve, we have the Colts taking on the Falcons. I'm going to take the Colts to win that one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts because the Falcons lost to the Panthers last week. So I don't know what's going on with them there. They only scored 6 points, I believe. So their offense isn't looking too good. And the Colts are in there for their divisional race. So I like the Colts.
3 teams sit atop that AFC South right now. Next up at 12, we have the Seahawks taking on the Titans. I'm going to take the Seahawks to win that one in Nashville.
I like the Seahawks. Impressive game last week against the Eagles. So if Drew Lock is still the quarterback, he's probably still feeling that high a little bit. And he could produce pretty good against the Titans.
Next up, a big NFC North battle coming up from US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. The Vikings taking on the Lions. I think the Lions go into US Bank and finally put an end to what the Vikings are trying to do this year.
Yeah, I think the Lions are going to be able to win this one on Christmas Eve.
Next up, we have the Commanders taking on the Jets. That is a bad matchup right there. I'm going to take the Jets to win that one at MetLife.
I'm taking the Commanders just because I don't know if Zach Wilson's playing. I don't know who's their quarterback, to be honest with you. I know Aaron Rodgers isn't. Zach Wilson could be in concussion protocol for I know. So I don't even know who their third string is if they have one. So I'm going to go with the Commanders because I feel like that's just a safe bet you can go with.
Next up, we have the Browns and Texans coming up from NRG Stadium there in Houston. This is going to be a defensive battle, both with backup quarterbacks and not really anything cooking on the offensive side. This is going to be whoever can control it on defense. I think the Texans win this one. I think the Texans win it. They're in a game manage, and I think they'll win it there at home.
I like the Browns. I like the Browns defense, and Joe Flacco's kind of playing like old Joe Flacco. He's just loving life right now. So I like the Browns against the Texans.
Next up, we have the Jaguars coming up against the Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Jags to win that one in Tampa.
After last game for the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield looked like an 10-time All-Pro. It'll be interesting to see if he can do the same thing, but I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers. I think Baker Mayfield's cooking with something over there.
Next up, we have a dogfight going on at Soldier Field. The 5-9 Bears taking on the 3-11 Cardinals. I'm gonna take the Bears. I've liked what the Bears have been doing as of late. Their defense is getting better. Justin Fields finally back playing well. I think the Bears win that one against the Cardinals.
Let me tell you, do not count out the Bears. I mean, if the Bears win out and the Packers lose and some other teams lose, they might squeeze in there in the playoffs somehow. So I would not count the Bears out, and I think they're going to be able to win against the Cardinals on Sunday.
And the big matchup of the day, the 10-4 Cowboys taking on the 10-4 Dolphins there from Miami Gardens in Florida, their Hard Rock Stadium. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I'm going to take the Cowboys to bounce back there against Miami and pull off the win there on the road.
I like the Dolphins. For one, it's in Miami. And for two, they have Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Tua there. So I like the Dolphins. And the Cowboys didn't look overly impressive against the Bills last week. So it'll be an interesting game for sure, but I like the Dolphins.
No, they did not. But the Dolphins do struggle against good teams. So I got the Cowboys winning that one. But the Cowboys also struggle against good teams. This might be a terrible game. I don't know. Next up, the night game. Quite a night game coming up there. The Broncos taking on the Patriots at the 7:15 game from Denver. I'm going to take the Broncos to win that one.
Yeah, I like the Broncos as well. They've been playing pretty good. I don't know if they're in the playoff race yet or if they're in the playoff picture. I'm not entirely sure. I assume they are, considering they've been playing pretty good football recently. So they still need to continue to win, and I don't think the Patriots will be able to stop them on Sunday night.
Next up, we have the Raiders and Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win that one on Christmas Day.
Would it be crazy for me to go with the Raiders, considering they just put up 60 points?
Yeah, but they did it up against the Chargers team, who we just watched their head coach, who was terrible, get fired.
Yeah, well, the Chiefs lost to the Packers, so I'm going to go with the Raiders, because why not?
Because why not? A little Christmas Day magic. Next up, we have, if you want Christmas Day magic, this one would take some magic. The Giants going up against the Eagles. Eagles coming off a couple losses. I don't see them losing again. I got the Eagles winning that one. They'll take care of the Giants at home.
You know, for the past few weeks, I've kept saying, the Eagles will figure it out. They'll come back, but they haven't came back yet. Tommy DeVito did not look impressive against the Saints, though, and that one was also on the road. So I think the Eagles will be fine against the Giants.
There we go. Next up, 7:15, the big game of the weekend. Ravens taking on the 49ers. Two teams coming in at 11-3. Both impressive, whether it's home record or away record. They're both impressive. That one will be at Levi Stadium there in California. That's going to be a good game. I think the Ravens win it on the road. I'm calling the Ravens to win it on the road.
I like the 49ers. CMC's have been averaging a touchdown per game. Brock Purdy's looking like an MVP. And that defense for the 49ers is looking stellar. Will they be able to contain the Ravens? I don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to contain Lamar, but that's what they're going to have to do if they're going to want to win the game. And I think they're going to be able to do it. I think they will. I trust in the 49ers defense there. And I think they're going to be able to win this game.
All right. And that is it for our NFL weekend slate leading up into Christmas. But next up, we got to jump into yesterday. We did trivia questions with Austin. Today, Austin, he felt terrible because I blindsided him with questions yesterday. So now he is going to blindside me with questions today. So we're going to jump into trivia with Trage. Here we go.
All right, Trage. These ones might be kind of hard. I'm not going to lie.
Oh boy.
I'm not even going to tell you what website I'm on so you don't cheat. But I got a good one here. Okay, what is the name of the Satan-like creature in mythology? I think that's how you say it. Mythology that scares and punishes naughty children during the holiday season.
Can I have a hint?
Starts with a K. I feel like you know this one.
Starts with a K.
K-R.
Chris.
Cramp.
Krampus.
Krampus. Close enough.
Krampus. We'll take it.
I feel like you would know that one. All right. Another one here we got. No, that's not a good one. That one's kind of hard. I'm not going to lie. Some of these are. I'm on the Today Show site. Some of these are way more difficult than.
Well,
I might use this.
Just look up.
I might use this to get back on what you did to me yesterday. I might use this to get back
at you. Movie question.
Okay, well,
I'm asking you about Tom Hanks and where eggnog came from, and you're asking me what the devil looks like.
Whoa. All right, this is a good one. According to Hallmark, approximately how many Christmas cards are sent annually? And it's above 1 million. It's a lot of Christmas cards. Think. It's a lot of Christmas cards.
Is it over 10?
Actually, here, I'll give you a better hint. It's above 500 million. It's above 500 million. That's your second hint.
1.2 billion.
That's a very good guess. I'll pretty much give that to you. It was 1.3 billion.
Oh, wowza. I was right on. Nice.
Yeah. That's a lot of Christmas cards being sent out during the Christmas season. Right there. Which song tops Billboard's list of the 100 greatest holiday songs of all time?
All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey.
Booyah. That was a good one right there. You knew that one.
It was a lucky guess. I was going with Elvis next.
You were going to go with the Blue Christmas one?
The Blue Christmas.
All right, Trage. This one's a 50-50. If you get this one wrong, then I guess you're just stupid. Oh, shoot. Wow. I need to go back. All right, true or false? The North Pole has no time zone.
That 50-50. Was, if I get it wrong, I'm stupid?
Yep.
False. It has.
Well, you're stupid, Trage, because it is true.
Wait,
all longitudinal lines start at the North Pole, which means there is no time zone.
I can't. But how does that qualify me as stupid if I didn't know that one?
Sorry,
that was.
Trage, that's the rule. That is the rule. That is the rule.
Bad rule. We need to come up with new rules.
Oh, some of these are. See, a lot of these are like years, and I know you're not going to know years.
No. But I did guess the Christmas card one, right? So you got to get better questions.
When did lighting the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree become an annual tradition? And it's in the 1900s. Think about
Can you give me like 3 or 4 options, but include the
okay, all right.
The option.
All right. Option A, 1928. Option B, 1931. Option C, 1933. Option D, 1939.
C.
Booyah! 1933.
Nice.
See, these are easy. These are nice when you have options. I didn't get options with the movies or nothing. All right.
I was asking you simple ones. This is hard. This is different.
All right, Trade. At least one more. One more
solid one to end with.
A solid one. Well, I don't know if it's gonna be a solid one. Nah, that's not a good one. Maybe I should find a different website for the last one here.
It's okay. Take it.
All right, Trade. Okay, this one's too easy. What? Okay, this one might be. You might not know this one. What Christmas decoration was originally made from strands of silver?
Strands of silver. Garland.
I mean, that's pretty close. Tinsel.
Yeah, I can see it. Garland, tinsel. It's all in the same aspect.
It's in the same category. Actually, I'll do one more. All right.
One more. One more.
Per a recent holiday fad, what spy hides under around the house reporting back to Santa on who has been naughty and nice?
Elf on a Shelf.
Booyah. I feel like that's a good one to end on.
That was a good one to end on.
Well, Trades, you went like 4 for 12 there, so not a very good, impressive.
Hey, that's an impressive batting average.
Well, good thing we're not playing baseball.
I'll take it.
So. Or too bad we're not playing baseball.
There's no crying in baseball. But with that, it has been awesome talking with you guys. We hope you guys all have a fantastic Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody from us at Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade. We'll be back on Tuesday of next week to jump into. We can only imagine what the Packers will do this weekend. That's going to upset us, and we'll have to talk about it. Maybe we'll come back on Christmas Day because we'll be that upset that we're going to have to talk about it. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades. Thank you guys for listening. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But until we talk to you guys next on Tuesday, deuces.